Oh, happy Football Friday, people. It's our first Football Friday of the NFL season. It kicked off last night with the Bills and the Rams, and the Bills taking care of business, and Josh Allen looking pretty incredible, despite the fact his offense had 4 turnovers. Not the point. But it is our first Football Friday here in Philadelphia, and I couldn't be more excited for it. I wish I was a little bit happier for it, but the Phillies decided to poo-poo on the parade. They poo-pooed on it last night. Rhys Hoskins, a little short hop, little bounce under the mitt. Wasn't exactly even with the first base bag in that situation as he was supposed to be. He was still in on the grass. Rhys backing off a bit. But it ends up costing the Phillies a victory, unfortunately. And then the Brewers won both games of their doubleheader. So we'll get to the wild card standings in a little bit. But we got Eagles football to talk about with their debut, with their season opener in Detroit against the Lions, a team that they beat 44-6 last year and shouldn't have any problems with beating this time around as well in Detroit. We'll also get to a nice little thing Avonte Maddox is going to be doing for his former high school, or I should say his high school. Because he's a Michigan guy, and what he's going to be doing for that program while he is out there. It's the second straight year he'll be doing it. We'll get to that conversation, and we'll talk about, of course, my prediction for this Eagles game when they kick off their season in Detroit. Ross Tucker will join the program today to give us his take on how the Eagles will get things underway and overall how he sees this Eagles season playing out. And we do a little Ross at the movies, because one of my favorite things about Ross doing the preseason games with Scott Graham is the movie quotes. He always works in a fine movie quote or two during a game, and as he explains on the show, it's something that you got to keep it entertaining in the fourth quarter of a preseason game where a lot of guys you'll never talk about again are playing, and he does keep it interesting. So I decided, because he'll always like, usually how it goes is Scott Graham will, finish the play-by-play, and then Ross will say something like, once it hits your lips, it's so good. And he's like, yeah, Scott, what movie is that from? And Scott Graham, 9 times out of 10, I have no idea what movie is that from. And then Ross is like, come on, man, old school. And it's hilarious because that's kind of how I operate as well. I think in a long line of movie quotes. That's how my brain operates. So I have 5 movie quotes for Ross Tucker, and I'm going to see if he can get those 5 movie quotes. Now, as to what movie they're from. Here's the deal. For the people watching the show, I am wearing the gray shirt today. Usually I reserve this shirt for sad occasions. Our teams got beat. We had a trade we didn't like. We had a signing we didn't like. We had a loss, whatever. I did the interview with Ross Tucker wearing this gray shirt, the dark gray shirt. I did the interview with Ross Tucker. And while I was doing the interview, the Phillies went up on Bryson Stott's RBI last night. So I was not aware that they would go on to lose to the Miami Marlins last night and blow their chance and breaking out the brooms. So I didn't even realize it, but while I was doing the interview with Ross Tucker, I was foreshadowing that the next morning I would be upset. And I'd be upset over the fact that the Phillies lost to the Marlins. And that's where we are right now. Rhys Hoskins had a great day from the plate. 3 for 4, 2 runs scored in a tight ball game. And then in the 9th inning, leading 5-4. Rhys Hoskins is playing even with the bag and allows a short hop to go under his mitt, ends up being a 2-base error in which the game-tying run scores and the game-winning run goes in scoring position. Was it the best night for David Robertson? No, again, it was not the best night for David Robertson, but he came back with, 3 straight strikeouts to get out of that inning? Could have been a lot worse, but the damage had been done. Rhys talked about it after the game, saying how they're going to move right into the weekend. They're going to take the series win. And that's kind of how they're going to put it in the rearview mirror. David Robertson talked about how at every point in the season, you got to make sure you win ball games, even especially in the last month of the season when you got a tight playoff race going for the wild cards in the wild card standings, when you got teams like the Brewers nipping at your heels, for instance, and you got a team like the Padres looking to put more space between you and them in the second wild card spot, which is what they occupy now, despite being idle last night with the Phillies losing. Half game up now on the Phillies. So it's a tough pill to swallow. Phillies fought hard in this baseball game, but what I keep going back to isn't just the fact that Rhys Hoskins had that error in the ninth inning. It's the fact that the Marlins tried to hand you this game. One guy in particular, J.J. Bleday, there in center field in the fifth inning of last night's ball game, literally tried to say, hey, here's the game. He dropped a fly ball from Kyle Schwarber. And for the life of God, please, guys, tell all the young kids out there, hustle on every play. Look, I know, especially in the big leagues, it's a long season, and it's hard to be Chase Utley, and everything is to your the hardest. Everything's the nth degree, the old college try every single play. But you just had a warning shot fired across the bow there with Bryce Harper the other night not hustling after his pop fly to left field with Anderson and the drop ball that he had, or slipping to try to catch a pop-up. And then Bryce Harper barely makes it to second base, but he did, ends up scoring the game-winning run. Great. You just had a warning shot. Hustle on every play. Kyle Schwarber, I would never describe as fleet of foot by any means, but it's a pop fly to center field to Bleday yesterday in center field, and trots down the first baseline, should have been standing on second base. The ball gets dropped, and Kyle Schwarber just has a long single, if you will. He ends up scoring anyway, but still, to the kids, please stop giving us heart attacks. That's all I'm asking. Hustle every play. That's it. If you see you hit a pop fly, just put your head down and start running. I know what, I'm going to go ahead and say this. Give me at least 90%. Never go to the home run trot type of lollygag down the first baseline. Now that's out of the way. Ended up not hurting the Phillies because Kyle Schwarber still ended up scoring on another play where J.J. Bleday was trying to say, hey, Phillies, you know what? Thanks for having us. Why don't you guys just take the series sweep? Alec Boehm triples to center field on a play where, hey, again, to all the young kids, never dive with your back parallel to the ground. That just seems unsafe. Bleday overextends himself trying to get out of the inning. I'm sure in the back of his mind he's thinking, I got to make up for my error there, and he tried too hard. Dove, ball skips past him, 2-run score. Phillies go up, and all seems like it's going to be right with the world in Philadelphia until that ninth inning when he handed the ball back. One thing I do want to talk about, and this is off the beaten path because it didn't really have much of an effect on the game. Who was it? Blair's pitching? How do you say this guy's name? I forget how to say this guy. Anyway, Brandon Marsh in the the seventh inning, hits a little dribble down the first baseline, right, between the pitcher's mound and first base, I should say. Pitcher picks it up. If you didn't see this play, Marsh is booking it down the front. Oh, my God, a guy hustling. No way. Marsh is booking it down the first baseline. The pitcher fields the ball, and then I think in an attempt to reach out and tag first base to get Brandon Marsh out, ends up taking out Brandon Marsh's legs. And Brandon Marsh, never able to touch first base, flies over the base path as there was contact. It was like in football, trying to take out a guy's legs as opposed to, hitting him up high or anything. And that play is totally legal. And I'm thinking to myself, of all the blocking the plate rules that we've seen, the blocking the plate rule that we've seen implemented in baseball for safety, I mean, we haven't done anything about first base. Like, we haven't done anything about any other collisions at any other point in the base paths or anything like that. Like, it just seemed odd to me. Now, the pitcher in that situation has every right to go out there and try to tag the bag. But I would think if you can't catch your feet and you wipe a player out of the base path, that maybe that would be interference. Maybe something, because that doesn't seem safe. Like, what's to stop any other player from just taking out a runner's legs? Like, oh, just trying to make a play. It's weird. I've never thought of the runner needing protection. I always think of it like the defensive player needs protection. Like, for instance, Chase Utley and Ruben Tejeda, was that who it was? Whose leg he broke when Chase Utley was out there with the Dodgers, and another one of the many reasons Mets fans hate Chase Utley. You protect the defensive player all the time. Blocking the plate, you're trying to protect the catcher from being run over. I never thought of it as, wow, the defensive player went on the offensive there. It was just a weird play in last night's game. Again, had no bearing, just got the wheels moving about, well, baseball maybe has one more thing to look at here, because that seemed like a very odd play. I never thought we'd have to protect the runner. And it also made me think of A-Rod back in '06, was it, against the Red Sox, when A-Rod was running down the first baseline and tried to slap the ball out of Bronson Arroyo's glove. Wow, Bronson Arroyo, there's a name, folks. Tried to slap the ball out of Bronson Arroyo's hands. And A-Rod was initially called safe on the play and then was called out because you can't just slap the ball out of a defensive player's mitt. This was stuff that I spent way too much time thinking about last night, but nonetheless, is what I thought about. That's where my mind goes. But bottom line is Phillies lost, and that sucks. Here's where we're at right now in the wild card standings. Braves still very much up there, number one. Padres a half game up on the Phillies. Phillies 2.5 games now. Just 2.5 games up on the Brewers. Brewers winning both games in their doubleheader yesterday. So that's where we're at. In the baseball world, Phillies and Nationals start a 3-game series tonight at Citizens Bank Park, and we'll see how the Phillies handle game one. Also, Kyle Gibson. It'd be really nice, just spitballing here. Can we get I don't know, you had a great little run there of quality starts at least. That's gone by the wayside, unfortunately. I'd really like those quality starts to come back as soon as humanly possible. It was a bit of a rough one last night for Kyle Gibson. 9 hits over just 5 innings of work, 4 earned runs. You need a little better than that down the stretch. Please and thank you. Hey, the Eagles kick off their season on Sunday, 1 o'clock against the Detroit Lions. I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to be a win. And I was thinking about it. Am I overconfident already? Am I at the point where I'm comfortable? Like Jason Kelsey says, hey, don't be comfortable. The minute you're comfortable is the minute somebody wants to make you uncomfortable. And I thought, you know what? I don't see this as being another 44-6 victory as the Eagles beat the Lions to that tune last year. I think week 1 can be a little tricky. I think the Lions are at a point right now where they're feeling the absolute best they possibly could feel. I think, and look, this isn't just Hard Knocks talking. This is just knowing Dan Campbell's philosophy, how he gets his players all amped up, how he's a big motivator, and how he's a guy that will get in your face both positive and negatively and all that stuff. And that's great. But the Lions right now are coming off a training camp and coming off a preseason where they feel pretty damn good about that. Like, they went through a whole offseason feeling terrible. They're going to go into this game with a lot of confidence. I don't think overconfident by any means, but I think they're going to go into this game with a lot of confidence. I think they got something to prove, that they're not as bad as they were last year, that all the hype that went around them because of Hard Knocks is going to be validated somehow in this game. But I don't see this game being the blowout that the Eagles were able to enjoy last year. I see the Eagles winning this game, and I see them winning to the point of we're being comfortable. We're at least comfortable in the fourth quarter. We might feel uncomfortable throughout, but we're going to be comfortable in that fourth quarter about them winning. Now, you look at some guys on this Detroit team that have something to prove. A second overall pick like Aiden Hutchinson, for instance, he wants to get after a guy like Jalen Hurts. He's going to have his work cut out for him there. We all know how elusive Jalen Hurts can be. We all know the run game that the Eagles offense presents. They ran the ball up and down the field against the Lions last year. So it's going to be tough to get after the quarterback and get those big flashy sacks that a guy like Aiden Hutchinson is going to want to get in his rookie season and start off his rookie campaign out of Michigan. He's going to be hungry in this game, but I think he's going to come up empty-handed in a lot of situations. You're going to see guys like Aylin McNeil, for instance, come out there, try to get some picks, try to come off the edge, try to make some wreak some havoc in the backfield, try to force Jalen Hurts into making some mistakes. I don't see them having a lot of success. I think the Detroit defense has made some upgrades. I think they're getting some guys back from injury that are looking to make a name for themselves. I don't think it's going to be a very successful day for the Detroit Lions defense, and it's not going to be because of the big weapons or the names that you might see on the offensive side of football, the flashy names like Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown and Miles Sanders out of the backfield who says his hamstring's good to go and all that. I don't think it's going to be because of that. I think it's going to come down to the offensive line. And I know you can say that for just about every single game, but I think in week 1, the steadiest thing you can look at is how your offensive line is going to play. I mean, even looking at an offense like the Rams last night, looking at an offense like the Bills. The Bills marched down the field, got 7 points almost immediately. Then there was a stall a little bit in that first half, and then they poured it on in the second half. there's going to be a little bit of that stall, I think, with this Eagles offense. I don't see them just coming out of the gate saying, oh, A.J. Brown looks amazing. Devontae Smith looks like he's totally ready to go over 1,000 yards. He almost did last year. He's definitely doing it this year. Miles Sanders 100% healthy now. Looks fantastic. Who cares about a hamstring injury? I don't see that. I don't see the Eagles jumping out of the gates in this game. I see a long opening drive. I should say first possession by the Eagles. I see dink and dunks down the field. I see a short passing game from Jalen Hurts. I see the running game looking as stout as it did a year ago. That's what I see going into this game. And if I had to put a final score on it, a prediction of this game, I see this being a 27-17 Eagles victory with a late touchdown by the Lions that will be in essentially garbage time. So I think the Eagles cover to start things out, and I think they win this game 27-17. The number one thing I'm looking for in this game, and it surrounds Jalen Hurts. I just want to see that step forward. I want to see more stepping up in the pocket. I want to see him go through progressions. I don't want to see him staring down his number one target. Staring, throw. Don't want to see that. I want to see looking off the safety. I want to see look at the safety off to the right. Boom, he goes to the left. Like, I want to see stuff like that from Jalen. If I see him do that, just have that calmness, that pocket presence, that awareness, I will feel so much better about that. Now, I still see the Eagles winning the division, but I would feel even better about the quarterback going forward if I just see him do that in this game. This is a great game for the Eagles to open up their season for. If you're not going to have a home game against the Lions, just playing the Lions in general is probably the best way you can open up your season. This is going to make me sound the opposite of how I opened the show by talking about not being overly confident in this game. But playing a team like the Lions almost gives you that dress rehearsal. It almost gives you what that third preseason game used to be back in the day where you had 3 preseason games and starters played all the time, or at least 3 quarters. Opening up against a team like the Lions gives you some room for error. We talk about it a lot when we mention playing teams that are well below you, supposedly. Having that kind of, is everything good game? Is everything all right game? Do we have this working? Is the offensive line working well together? Is my quarterback and my receivers, are they on the same page? Defensively, schematically on that side of the football, does everyone know where they're supposed to be? Who's got who? Where they're supposed to line up? What everyone's assignment is and all that. Playing a team like the Lions is a good warm-up lap. That's the way at least it should be. That is what I'm expecting in this game. I'm confident that the Eagles will win. I'm 95% confident the Eagles will win this game. I'm not saying, it's an automatic show up and win type of game. I think that's the overconfident people talking. But I am very confident that the Eagles are going to win this game, and they're going to give us a 1-0 start to the regular season. After Jalen Hurts and the little things, I'm not looking for him to bomb it. Oh, look, Jalen Hurts, he can bomb. Everyone said he doesn't have an arm. Look, he's got an arm. I'm not looking for that. I have not been in that camp of Jalen Hurts has a noodle arm. I don't think he's got a noodle arm. I think he's got a good enough arm for the NFL. I just want to see him be more accurate. If he is more accurate, if he looks more accurate, if he looks more comfortable in the pocket, if he climbs the pocket, surveys the field, goes through progressions and all that, if he does that in this first game, I'm feeling pretty damn good about the rest of the season. And my prediction that Jalen Hurts will be the Eagles starting quarterback again next year and for the foreseeable future. Something else I want to see in this game. I'm going to be looking at Isaac Seumalo because I know a lot of people are saying going from left to right is no big deal. I think it's a little bit of a big deal. Now, I still feel real good about this Eagles offensive line because of everybody else around him. But the slam dunk idea that this is the best offensive line in the NFL, it still takes one chink in the armor. It still takes one break in the chain to all of a sudden look at a guy like Jalen Hurts and see him on his back more than you want him to. It only takes one weak point to break through that chain. It only takes one drop of water to get through a wet paper bag. That's the one thing I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to. Russ Tucker will shed some light on that, how important that is. When a guy goes from the left guard spot that he's been playing his whole career to the right guard spot all of a sudden. If it was me, I would have put Landon Dickerson on that side, but they decided not to do that. That's the second thing I'm going to be looking at, and that's from a negative, not as optimistic way, or thing I'm going to be looking at compared to just Jalen Hurts going through his progressions. Number 3, what I'm going to be looking for in this game, defensively speaking. How dominant can you be in a game that matters, Jordan Davis? How dominant can Jordan Davis be in a football game? And this is playing next to Fletcher Cox. This is playing next to Javon Hargrave. This is having guys come off the edge that can get after a quarterback like we all know. How good can he be? Because we saw it in preseason game number 1 that he could put guys on roller skates. The other 2 preseason games, he barely played against the Dolphins, but in the middle there against the Browns, didn't have anything flashy. There's a couple instances where, yeah, he was double-teamed. A couple instances where he was one-on-one, and he was pushing guys back, but I wouldn't necessarily, he was putting them on the proverbial roller skates. I want to see how good he could be in the middle of this defensive line, and I want to see how good he could be with a guy like Fletcher Cox going after it as well. That's what I want to see from Jordan Davis. That's number 3. Number 4, when I look at this football game and what I want to see, how quick can CD Deuce adapt to a new scheme? We played it for you yesterday or 2 days ago with Jonathan Gannon talking about how versatile safeties have to be in the NFL. They have to do it all. You have to be able to play linebacker. You have to be able to play defensive, cornerback, and you have to be able to play the safety position. You got to be able to do it all. Deepest man on the field, guy in the box, whatever it might be, whatever you're called upon to do in that scheme. I want to see how CD Deuce produces under Jonathan Gannon. And I also want to see this. That's number 4 for me, or excuse me, number 5 for me. Overall is Jonathan Gannon. I have a feeling I know what we're going to get offensively. I don't think we're going to get that run-happy offense. And if we do, and if the Eagles do present that to us, and that's how they decide to win this football game, okay. Wouldn't be the way I would draw it up. I'd want to test my quarterback, see what he's got. But I think the biggest test here is going to be Jonathan Gannon. I was reading an article from Marcus Hayes from Inquirer.com before the show. And with all the optimism, with all the positive vibes feeding into the Eagles right now, leave it to Marcus Hayes to find someone that doesn't think the Eagles are going to be all that great. Still have a lot to prove. And Marcus Hayes spoke to an NFL coach that said, yeah, we're still waiting to see this brilliant Jonathan Gannon that everyone talks about, which I thought was interesting because on short plays, dink and dunk plays, Jonathan Gannon's defense allowed a lot of those last year. Like Justin Herbert, for instance, had an 80% completion percentage game against the Eagles. 80%. That's bonkers. And it's all because of the scheme or the overall philosophy of Jonathan Gannon last year, which was allow everything underneath, don't allow the big play. Keep allowing the offense to make those plays, execute those plays. Eventually, they'll make a mistake. Well, that didn't happen because the Eagles were the worst team in the NFL in turnover rate last year. Or excuse me, causing turnovers. That's not good. You got to sometimes get in the face of your offense, of the offense you're playing against, and force them into mistakes. I hope I'm not saying that as many times as I felt like I had to say it last year, because I'm hoping that this defense is forcing those turnovers like they were unable to under Jonathan Gannon last year. But when you sit back and let an offense get comfortable, speaking of comfort, they're going to be pretty damn good. And there's going to be plenty of quarterbacks in the NFL that'll pick you apart over that and say, oh, this is what you're going to give me? We'll take it all day. Because sooner or later, we're going to be in that red zone. And that's where it's only going to take one play for us to punch it in there or to find somebody in the back of the end zone for a touchdown. The next thing you know, we got 7 points on the board. I'm going to be paying a close eye to Jonathan Gannon and how he uses this bulked up Eagles defense, how he uses Jordan Davis, how he uses CD Deuce, how Darius Slay and James Bradbury step up as your corners. I'm going to be looking at this defensive line and how overall aggressive they can be on the outside and how a guy like Hassan Reddick will get in the backfield, how TJ Edwards and Nakobe Dean will be used on the field at the same time. Those are the things I'm going to be paying attention to. The guy that really is going to be under the microscope, because, and look, when Marcus Hayes talked to that coach, anonymous coach in the NFL, I thought what was interesting was the coach said that he really hasn't impressed anyone. And I'm like, well, that's not true because the guy literally got head coaching offers, or not offers, but interviews. He got invites to be interviewed as a head coach. And I'm like, I think he impressed a couple of people if he's getting head coaching consideration already. Let us see a defense that will be aggressive. Let us see a defense that offenses around the league take notice of. Like, oh, damn, did you see Fletcher Cox and Jordan Davis in the middle of that line of scrimmage? We got to stop that. No thanks. It's going to be wild. I mentioned Avonte Maddox, Michigan native. If you caught SkyDrive, which again, thank you if you did. Last year, Avonte Maddox bought tickets for his high school football program to go to the Eagles-Lions game. And this year, he's doing the same exact thing. I think he said something like 40 to 50 tickets that he's buying to give to his high school football program so they can go to the game. Always love stories like that. Always love stories like that. And Darius Slay was talking the other day about how he would go as an NFL player. He'd go to high school games, and one of the games he went to apparently was Avonte Maddox's high school game, which I knew that before the interview. Damn it. Anyway, let me tell you about man Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Steven Singer likes to take care of Philadelphia. He's been doing it for over 40 years in the city of brotherly love, showing the city of brotherly love, the love. Steven, when you walk into the other corner of 8th and Walnut, has a real jewelry expert standing by at the ready to walk you through all the beautiful, dazzling diamond inventory that they have. Do what I do. When it comes to all your jewelry purchases, trust Steven Singer at Steven Singer Jewelers. Steven offers the perfect price. Nothing makes you feel more comfortable than knowing you don't have to negotiate, you don't have to haggle, you don't have to worry. Most importantly, if the guy next to you or lady next to you is buying something at a cheaper value. Oh, they get a better deal than I did because they negotiated better? No. Everyone's getting that perfect price every single day at Steven Singer Jewelers. Steven Singer Jewelers, one place, one price, the perfect price each and every day online at IHateStevenSinger.com. Without further ado, let's get to today's guest. Ross Tucker joins us on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line. Right now on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line, the man dazzled this past preseason, and he'll continue to dazzle as he signed a new multi-year deal to do Eagles preseason games. Our good friend Ross Tucker joins us right now. Ross, what's going on, brother?
Mark, what's up, man? It's go time. It's funny. It's always mixed emotions this time of year for me because I love doing the Eagles preseason games. I wish I could do their games all year. But I'm also very excited for the start of the regular season for week 1, the Birds and the Lions. It's funny, though, because I think I probably told you this last year, but I've been doing stuff in the media since I was on IR in Washington in 2007. I've been calling games for, 15 years now. Nobody cared until I was doing the Eagles games, man. I mean, in terms of my friends and some of my family members, like they knew I was doing other stuff. I do NFL games on the radio and a college game for CBS every week. They didn't really care. Like a couple years ago, the first year I did it, 2019 maybe, they were texting me. They're like, "You're really good." It's like, yeah, well, thank you. I've been doing it for 12 years. Thank you for all the other times you clearly haven't watched or listened once. You know, it's just the way Philadelphia is, man. A lot of people just don't care until you're doing the Eagles game.
We're rather parochial, but yeah, you know what? You do keep busy. People need to follow you, of course, on Twitter, Ross Tucker NFL, at Ross Tucker NFL. You got the Ross Tucker podcast. You got Go Big Recruiting. Oh, this is really cool. I remember you telling me about this last time. My front page gift. Tell me what that is again.
Yeah, it's basically the best gift you can ever give anyone. They write a story all about whoever you want to have the story written about. And evidently, Mark, September and October are the 2 biggest months for weddings, which is amazing to me. I never would have guessed that. So if you're one of the people that somehow let your wife talk you into getting married in the fall during football season, this should be your anniversary gift. Literally, you talk to one of our writers for 10 minutes. They write the most unbelievable story about your wife. You give it to her. It looks like it's on the cover like the Philadelphia Inquirer. She's totally shocked by it. What is this? And you're like, babe, I had a story written about you, which just sounds so money. It's not even funny. And then she reads the quotes and you're like, I don't thank her enough for the little things she does. She will cry, dude. Your wife will cry. You will win. myfrontpagestory.com. I promise.
Okay. All right. A gift that'll hit it out of the park. No doubt about it. Ross Tucker, let me ask you this. I was listening to Jason Kelce yesterday, and I'm listening to Jason Kelce talk about how you can never be comfortable. Yeah, you got to always make sure that you're pushing. You always want more. I'm pretty comfortable in saying that this Eagles team is going to the playoffs. Is that your expectation for at least this Eagles team to make the playoffs in the upcoming season?
Well, I'd be surprised if they didn't, right? I mean, I'd actually be surprised they don't win 10 or 11 games. And that's not being a homer. That's just being objective. They won 9 games last year. And by the way, the 16 they tried to win, they didn't even try to win the last one. So they were 9-7 in the 16 they actually tried to win. You add A.J. Brown on offense. You get Sayamalo back, who's a big upgrade over the guys they had playing right guard last year. Then on the defensive side of the ball, 23.5 sacks for Hassan Reddick. Jordan Davis with the first-round pick. I was really impressed, Mark, with Kaiser White in training camp in the preseason. And on the back end, Bradbury and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Objectively, nationally, anyone would tell you the roster is a decent amount better. This is the first time Jalen Hurts isn't learning a new offense since he was 16 in the offseason. Every other time he's had to learn a new offense, and I can speak to that. Having played for a bunch of teams, it's so nice to actually be in the same offense back-to-back years. So I'd be surprised, based on everything I just told you, if they don't win 10 or 11 games. They might even win more, but I think 10 or 11 is reasonable, which is why I've been telling everybody on the Even Money podcast, that's the betting podcast, the over 9.5 is a no-brainer for me. You got to hit the over on the 9.5 on the Eagles.
All right. I'll be pounding that as soon as we get done this interview today. Now, I want to ask you about this because you played on the offensive line for a long time for a handful of teams there in the NFL, and Isaac Sayamalo is a guy that rarely gets talked about. Now, how difficult is it to go from the left guard spot to the right guard spot on an offensive line?
A lot harder than people realize, especially for a guy like Sayamalo, who's only ever been on the other side. As much as anything, Mark, it's just your stance. Imagine getting in the same uncomfortable position thousands of times for years, and you get used to it. You get comfortable in that naturally uncomfortable position. Then all of a sudden you have to switch. The good news for him is they've kind of known since the spring this is what's going to happen. So he's been doing it every rep. And he's one of the guys they tell me, and even some of the young guys told me this, Cam Jurgens, that he's one of those guys that puts in the extra time. He looked very comfortable in training camp. I don't think Eagles fans realize, Mark, he's an above average starter. He got benched in 2017. Got off to a bad start in his career, got benched in 2017. What happens is people don't really pay attention to the line that much. And so they just assume, oh, he's not good because he got benched once. Well, he got better, and now he's good. He's a very solid player. It's why their O-line is loaded. They're not just the best O-line in the league, in my mind. They're the best O-line in the league by a decent margin.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I don't have to be as worried about that. What about the quarterback position now for the Eagles? I'm a big Jalen Hurts fan. I have said that I think this won't be his last year starting for the Eagles. I think this will be the guy for the foreseeable future. Do you think he'll solidify that idea after this season to be the quarterback of the foreseeable future?
It's funny because if I think they're going to win 10 or 11 games and probably at least one playoff game, how could I say it's not Jalen Hurts moving forward, right? I guess that's barring something unforeseen or someone else being available that we wouldn't expect, because that's what the NFL is, right? The NFL is always, what's your next best alternative, right? There were teams that I started for, but man, they were hoping they could get somebody better. I can assure you, they were hoping they could get somebody better than me. So it's what your next best alternative is. I do think the Eagles will have a good year. I told you 10, 11 games, at least a playoff win, which means it would be a huge upset if Hurts isn't the quarterback in 2023.
Mm-hmm. Just to stay on that point for a second, my own personal belief is if the Eagles offense is exactly what it was last year, like a run first by far type of offense, and Jalen Hurts is your leading rusher, that's what would move me to think he won't be back as the Eagles starting because he hasn't progressed in the passing game. Do you think if they are a mirror image of what, then granted, with A.J. Brown, with another year of Devontae Smith, I don't think they will be, but if they were, that's the thing I think would make the Eagles move away from Jalen Hurts in next year.
Well, remember, it all depends on who else would be available, right? So okay. I understand your premise, and I agree on to some extent that if he doesn't show improvement, if he's still a run-heavy guy that does not throw the ball with more consistency, I think the Eagles would explore their other options at that point. But what are their other options?
Okay.
You know, like, I mean, there has to be. I mean, would there be somebody that they would rather get in the draft? I tend to doubt it because they're going to be drafting way low. So it'd be very hard for them to actually get up and get one of the
Well, they do have 2 picks.
Guys. I know, but so does like 5 other teams who are going to be worse than the Eagles and are going to be more desperate than the Eagles. That's my point. I mean,
okay.
And so then you look, okay, who's available in free agency? Lamar Jackson, maybe. I doubt it. You know, worst case scenario, the Ravens franchise tag him. So I just don't even know who would be available that they would think is better than Jalen Hurts at that point.
Fair enough. How confident are you? I know a lot of people, even after watching Hard Knocks and falling in love with Dan Campbell and all that, how confident are you the Eagles will be 1-0 after Sunday?
Pretty confident, but the opener is always a unique entity unto itself, right? I mean, both teams have new wrinkles, new things they want to try, really on both sides of the ball. I'm sure Jonathan Gannon has some new stuff. I know Steichen and the offense will have some new stuff. So will the Lions. And sometimes, Mark, the new stuff stinks. Sometimes the new stuff doesn't work. Or sometimes the new stuff's great. Well, what if the new stuff for the Eagles stinks and the new stuff for the Lions is great? That's a problem. That's a major problem in the opener. Whereas after the opener, you at least have some sense of what the other team's looking to do with their guys this year. So I do think the Eagles win the game, but I think it's competitive. I think it's close. I think it's a field goal game. I think it's a hard-fought game. The Lions, I feel like, have a lot of momentum and a lot of confidence. Some of these O-line injuries for the Lions that we'll be keeping an eye on all the way up until the inactives on Sunday, that's a differentiator right there. It feels like the Eagles are clearly the healthier team coming into the opener, and that's big.
Mm-hmm. I have to ask you about 2 guys that you used to play with. One guy's name is Jason Peters. How the heck is this guy? I mean, look, God bless him, man. 40 years old, and he's going to be playing for the Dallas Cowboys now. What was your reaction to that news?
I am very surprised that he still wants to play. Very surprised. And the reason why I say that is a couple of things. Number one, I know, Mark, for me, I retired when I was 28. I played 7 years. Very proud of that, by the way. But there was a big difference for me, even in my early 30s, when I had lost weight just working out or just like drinking, just being hungover. Like, there's a difference in your early 30s, bro, to your mid-20s. There's a difference. There is. To be able to do it in your late 30s or at 40, that's bananas to me. Not only that, I mean, I don't know how much money he's making, but last year he made $175 from Chicago. Now, that's a ton of money, okay? But he's made $117 million. So after taxes, the Chicago money is probably $800,000. That makes no difference in his life, bro. None. So, but like a serious injury could. The wear and tear could. So I'm just a little bit surprised that he wants to play. I love football. Listen, if you watch the preseason games, I love football. But knowing what I know now about the other side and family and your body, they'd have to pay me a lot. I mean, a lot to try to play again.
Okay, your other former teammate, Tom Brady, retired, and then I believe it was 40 days and 40 nights later, he unretired. When he did retire, were you surprised, or were you just expecting the unretirement in the not-too-distant future?
I was not that surprised when he retired because people had started to hint about it that week. And I did that game, actually, on the radio for Westwood One, the Rams-Bucks game, and there was sort of a lot of buzz that this could be it for him. I'm very surprised that he retired and announced he was coming back so quickly, because he's a very measured guy and he usually thinks out everything he's going to do several steps in advance. So to retire and then unretire so quickly seemed out of character for him, just like taking a 10-day vacation during training camp to go to the Bahamas or wherever he was doing is very uncharacteristic for him as well. So he's got some weird stuff going on that's not very Brady-like.
Understood. I've asked you about the Eagles. Last thing on the Eagles before we get into a little fun thing I got going on here. When it came to training camp, when it came to your preseason coverage and all that, was there one off-the-radar guy that really caught your attention with the Eagles that we should look out for in the upcoming season?
Well, I mean, he's not off the radar anymore, thanks to me in the preseason games. But I really like Cam Jurgens.
Okay.
But I can't say Cam Jurgens because he's a backup. So
Okay.
I'm gonna say Zach Pascal. I was impressed with Zach Pascal. I think he's gonna help the Eagles win some games. I think they have a huge upgrade at wide receiver 3 and wide receiver 4. You know, everybody talks about the AJ Brown part of it, but you got Quez Watkins. I don't think there's very many better number 3 receivers than him.
Mhm.
And then Pascal at 4, that's huge. I mean, that gives the Eagles, even if they have an injury, they have a chance to have 3 really good receivers the whole season. I'm pumped up about Pascal.
All right. One of my favorite things about you doing the preseason is, aside from the great analysis we get from you each and every week in the preseason, it's you and Scott Graham going back and forth on movie quotes. Usually how it works is you, Russ Tucker, throw out a movie quote and you say, Scott Graham, the nicest man on the planet, Scott Graham. Scott, what movie is that from? And Scott's like, I got nothing. And then you just keep on going to that movie quote, and I love it. So I got a couple movie quotes for you that are of the genre in which you allude to so often, 90s to early 2000s comedies.
Okay.
That I thought we'd have some fun with. Do you want to play a little Ross Tucker at the movies here?
I would love to. I will just tell you this. I'm not a huge movie guy, but that is the time frame that, like, I can't remember the last time I went to movies. I got kids now, you know, but I do know movies from back then. So
okay.
I'm not as into movies as you would think based on, you know, during the games. But listen, man, it's second half of preseason games. I got to keep it entertaining. And if the Eagles have a rookie whose freshman year was 2015, I got to mention that a lot of people go to college for 7 years.
Oh, look, you're 1-0 already. You know, here's the first one. Well, first off, let me bring in the band. We have a trivia band in here. Guys, you want to get it going here? Spicy today, fellas. Spicy. All right. First one here. What movie? You know, a lot of people go to college for 7 years. Yeah, they're called doctors.
Tommy Boy. Boom.
Nailed it.
Easy.
1 for 1. 1 for 1. All right, this is where it gets a little tougher. What is this? A center for ants?
No.
All right, here you go. Keep going. How can we expect to teach the children to learn how to read if they can't even fit inside the building?
Oh.
I'll give you a visual hint.
Oh, Zoolander.
Nailed it. 2 for 2.
Zoolander.
2 for 2.
Nice.
For the people on the podcast, I did the blue steel. Anyway, all right, here we go. This is a little tougher. Here we go. A gun rack. I don't even own a gun, let alone many guns that would necessitate an entire rack. What am I going to do with a gun rack?
Oh, so I know this. I know that line, and I know the movie, but I can't think of it.
Party on.
Oh, Wayne's World.
Nailed it.
Yeah,
as far as I'm concerned,
nice.
3 for 3 as far as I'm concerned. Here we go. All right. This is a really tough one here. Okay. Hey, you want some of this milk? No milk will ever be our milk. How about you, Sideburns? You want some of this milk? I'd rather have a beer.
No, I don't know that one. When you were talking milk, I was going to say Happy Gilmore. I thought it was Ben Stiller saying, I'll give you a warm cup of shut the heck up. When you started with the milk, I was excited because I thought it was Happy Gilmore's grandma asking for a warm glass of milk and Ben Stiller saying, I'll give you a warm glass of shut the heck up.
Okay, that's so perfect. Okay, what was the Adam Sandler movie before Happy Gilmore?
Billy Madison.
Billy Madison. He says it to Veronica Vaughn in the hallway. Oh, Veronica Vaughn. Yeah.
No milk will ever be. You know what? You're not picking the best lines from these movies.
There
are better lines. That Veronica Vaughn is one fine. You know, there's a bunch of lines from everything you just said. We are all dumber. May God have mercy on your soul. There's so many lines you could have picked up. You're the worst at picking the lines.
All right. Then you're going to kill me for this one then. You're going to kill. This is the last one. The last one. Actually, a pretty nice little Saturday. We're going to go to Home Depot. Maybe Bed Bath & Beyond. I don't know. I don't know if we'll have enough time.
Old school.
Nailed
Love it. Old school. That's the right line.
That's the
right movie.
I debated between that and Once It Hits Your Lips, it's so good.
It just it tastes so good. Sand, foam, something. Yeah. Foam. Yeah. Sand, foam, something. Love it.
The great Ross Tucker. If you guys aren't followed on social media, what are you doing? What are you doing with your lives? Come on. Ross Tucker right here at Ross Tucker NFL, Ross Tucker Podcast, Big Recruiting. My front page gift. Fellas, check that out. Eagles preseason, CBS Sports, Westwood One, Odyssey Sports, and everything else. And tell me again, what was it, Big Money Podcast as well?
The Even Money Podcast.
Even Money.
Yes.
Even Money.
Make sure you hop on board the gravy train that is the Even Money Podcast if you like to bet.
There we go. Ross Tucker, always great catching up with you, brother. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Mark. See you, buddy.
See you, buddy. Ross Tucker joining us on the Ruffin Orthopedics guest line. Really enjoy talking to Ross Tucker there. The man himself. Movie quote machine. I didn't give him any of those before the interview. I told him we're going to be doing it. Before I play a game with a guest, I figure it's a good idea to at least run it by him that they're going to be cool with playing the game. And he's like, yeah, no, that sounds awesome. I'm not a big movie buff, but I'm like, my man, you're in the same genre of film that I am all the time mentally, which is 90s to early 2000s comedies, particularly those with the bass and Sarah Live in some way, shape, or form. But man, for the people on the podcast, you're really going to go well. You're really going to want to go back on YouTube and watch my Blue Steel. It's glorious. It's beautiful. Anyway, let me tell you about the great people at Manscaped. Manscaped.com. Get 20% off with promo code Farzy at Manscaped.com. Like their Platinum Package 4.0, which is the ultimate hygiene bundle. Because, fellas, you want to look good everywhere, right? That's where Manscaped enters the conversation. The Platinum Package 4.0 includes a Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, and it all comes with skin-safe technology that helps reduce the risk of nicks, so you can manscape with confidence and comfort. Plus, the ultra-premium body wash 2-in-1 shampoo, conditioner, deodorant, crop preserver, anti-chafing ball deodorant, crop reviver ball spray toner. Need I go on? Yes, I do, because it's in the read. Anti-chafing boxers, and the Shed travel bag that you'll be using to carry the goods that will be taking care of your goods from Manscaped. Manscaped is a leader in below-the-waist grooming, and now you can trust them with the whole shebang. You join 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with promo code Farzy. That's 20% off and free shipping with promo code Farzy at manscaped.com. How about Freestone Farm CBD? FreestoneFarmCBD.com. You want 20% off that as well? You got it. When you use promo code Farzy at Freestone Farm CBD, FreestoneFarmCBD.com. The menu is something you'll absolutely have to check out with strains like their insane tropical tasting Bayox that clocks in at a chart-topping 24.1%, and Super CBD, which is half Hindu, Kush, and 21%. The genetics of these guys are off the charts. And they grow all their premium hemp flower in the Garden State with all organic inputs and IPM. There's absolutely nothing synthetic from farm to jar, and after harvest, they carefully preserve all the plant compounds with a perfect 3-month cure. Just one look or smell will let you know it's CBD done right, and it's a great approach to everyone looking to take a more natural approach to everything they're putting in their bodies. So once again, 20% off with promo code Farzy at FreestoneFarmCBD.com. How about PHL Sports Station, Philadelphia Sports Station, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs? That's PHLSportsStation.com. How about Blue Chew? Blue Chew. BlueChew.com. Free, first month free. BlueChew.com. When you use promo code Farzy, first month free, just pay $5 shipping. It's just that simple. Blue Chew, if you haven't heard by now, is an online service that helps deliver the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable form at a fraction of the cost. Blue Chew's tablets help men combat all forms of ED. And again, Blue Chew is an online prescription service, so there's no embarrassing trips to the doctor or pharmacy, as Blue Chew ships right to your door in a discreet package. Here's the Blue Chew process. Sign up at BlueChew.com. Consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. And it's all done online. Blue Chew's licensed medical providers will help find you the right ingredient and strength for your prescription. If you don't like swallowing pills, don't worry. It's not just a clever name. Blue Chew are chewable. Also, Blue Chew's tablets are made right here in the good old US of A, and they prepare and ship directly to your house, so it's cheaper than a pharmacy. Do what millions of men have done. Use Blue Chew. Go to BlueChew.com. Use promo code Farzy at checkout and pay just $5 shipping while you get your first month free. BlueChew.com, promo code Farzy. Let's get into our chat check, see how you beautiful people are doing on this fine, fine morning. Good morning, Kevin, leading off for us. Kyle, football's back, baby. Sean Gillespie, good morning. Jerry, good morning. T-Bro, first football Friday, let's go. People are already amped. People are already excited. Eagles right now are kicking off their season, and we have the Phillies in the playoffs. That's September, baby. That's September. Now, how about the Phillies sweep the Nationals? Eagles win on Sunday. Oh, baby, what a happy Monday we're talking about here. Mally, good morning. Mally saying hello to everybody. Dark shirt, golden bronze spray tan equals an interesting show. Mally, you got me. And is it me or is it this is the plunging neckline today. Ooh. PJ, we might get an NC-17 rating. Think about ratings for YouTube? Men's. I'd love to get the call from YouTube. I'm sorry, this is way too much cleavage. I'm sorry, it's just way too much cleavage. This is supposed to be a family show. It says on the little thing there, a little box you have to check off there that it's a family show. I don't know. Should I button it, ladies and gents? It feels very Hollywood convertible. Like I drive a convertible around Hollywood. Like that's what it feels like with that much cleavage going on out there. Mally, thanks for noticing. Bird's hype video got me pumped. They did a great job with that, T-Bro. They absolutely did. Boop. Now, again, Mally, it's two buttons undone, but the way this shirt is tailored, I don't know. It's a lot more like when I unbutton the first two buttons of my other shirts, it's not this, NC-17. MIA Sanchez, what's up? Good morning, Mark. Everyone settling in for the series win is a loser's mentality. Mihai couldn't agree more. When they had the game won, Hoskins' error last night will be costly later on with the other annoying losses in 2022. Mihai, nothing you say is incorrect. Nothing you say is incorrect. Oh, here we go. Sean Gillespie. Oh, unbuttons fully on the OnlyFans account. Sean, don't put it past me. Right after Blue Chew, the Farzy show will be brought to you by OnlyFans. Do you think Mark wears pasty under? Mally, I'll get this line out. I'm sorry. Do you think Mark wears pasties under his shirts? Might have to. If I keep buying from this brand of shirt, I'm gonna have to wear a pasty or two. Don't want to know there's anything wrong. Oh boy. Bills look strong. Yes, they do. Josh Allen's incredible. Did you guys see the stat last night on Josh Allen? Got this thanks to Scott Van Pelt. Josh Allen had his 7th career game with 3 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. 3 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. The 7th time he's done that in his career. Only 2 quarterbacks have more of those types of games. Tom Brady and Drew Brees. Now, when I mentioned Brady and Brees, you don't go, oh, wow, rushing touchdown? Oh, they great running quarterbacks. No, that's not where your mind goes. You know where your mind goes? 20-plus years in the NFL. And Josh Allen is what? Is his 4th? And he's already got 7, and only 2 guys have more than him, and those are guys who played the 20-plus years in the NFL? Holy pots and pans. And neither Brees nor Brady were anywhere near the athlete that Josh Allen is. Let's get that out of the way. So, yeah, Josh Allen's pretty damn good at football. If we could sweep, says Mihai of the Phillies. With their ace on the hill, it's a steal. How about that? Sandy Alcantara. We talked about this yesterday, Mihai. Sandy Alcantara now in 3 of his last 4 starts, he's allowed 5 runs or more. I believe he's lost the other 2 games. He didn't lose last night because obviously the Marlins, they won. Fly, Eagles, fly. I agree. Mihai, Sean Gillespie. I admit I'm never comfortable watching Hurts. I'm not comfortable watching any young quarterback. Sean Gillespie, I really like my quarterback a little bit with a little bit more size and weight. Even though Hurts is very fast, he makes me nervous. Well, he put on a couple of pounds. Put on a couple of pounds. Who were we talking to? Who were we talking about? We were talking to Clay Harbor the other day. And Clay Harbor was like, he thought the Eagles got another safety when he was looking at Jalen Hurts. He's like, oh, damn, no, he just bulked up a little bit. Good for him. Jim Grassmeter, good morning. April. Honestly, didn't think it would be that close. Hopefully, at least a touchdown apart. April, I hope so too. Sean Gillespie, $117 million for Jason Peters. Damn, Jason Peters either had a bad accountant and lawyer. He must really love the game. Sean, I had the same thought. I'm like, how did this guy manage his money? Does he really need? Hey, look, I look at it as if I got a chance to make 800 grand, I'm going to make 800 grand. Newsflash. Bills look pretty good. They absolutely did. Just a couple of gold chains with that Farzy shirt. I've never wore a gold chain. I told you guys my stance on the gold horn, the Italian horn, right? I don't know if I told you, my mom, I told you before, the celebrated culture in that house was always Polish with her side of the family. So basically my Polish mother bought me an Italian gold horn, which I just always thought, I was like, Mom. She also bought me an absolute Italian remember, like back in the 90s, those absolute Irish, absolute German, whatever, absolute Italian. My mom bought me an absolute Italian shirt. And I go, Mom, what is this? And she goes, well, because you're Italian. I go, you're my mom. You're literally the reason I can't wear this shirt. Because I'm not absolute, which is fine. I'm very happy to be of mixed cultures. But I mean, it's like, why can't you wear the shirt? Literally because of you, Mom. It's a very interesting conversation my mom and I had. Hoskins' error was bad, but how about Gibson not shutting down the hapless Marlins lineup? Jim, you're not wrong. I agree. But the one glaring play, like that was the situation you were put in. And Gibson was bad. I did say that, I did acknowledge that, but the play that we'll go back to is the play that Hoskins had. Yes, bad start by Kyle Gibson. Bad start. Horrible error. I don't look like I look at Rhys Hoskins and say you should be able to field a short hop. I don't look at Kyle Gibson like he should be a winning pitcher. I know he's had a good year for the most part, and I know he's been better than what a lot of us expected when they acquired him last year. But I still don't look at him and go, oh, Gibby's on the mound tonight. They're winning. First off, let me just give you this real quick. I know people will go with Gibby because he's a Gibson playing baseball. You got to earn Gibby in baseball, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway. April, holy crap, I had that shirt. Bought it at Franklin Mills. It's a fine shirt. It's a fine shirt. Let's get into our morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Eagles kick off their season Sunday, 1 o'clock against the Detroit Lions. They'll be 1-0, 27-17. Eagles win that football game. And we all feel better about ourselves. And here's my numbers prediction aside from the score. Jalen Hurts, 250 yards through the air, 2 touchdown passes, 1 rushing touchdown by Miles Sanders. That's where I'm going to go. That's where I'm going to go with that. Jordan Davis, I'm going to say, does not record a sack. He gets 1 tackle for loss. And Nakobe Dean gets a sack in this game. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at for this one. Phillies, back at it after not being able to close out the sweep. They're at it tonight. 7:05 start time, South Philadelphia. Damn, I really love those 6:40 start times. I can't say it enough. They get the game tonight, 7:05 start time against Washington Nationals. Tonight, Patrick Corbin gets the start against Noah Syndergaard. Corbin, of course, the lefty. How's this for a record? 6-17 on the season. 6-7. Like, I'm impressed that he's gotten that many decisions. That's insane. 6-17 on the season with a 6.28 ERA. Noah Syndergaard 8-9 with a 4.07 ERA on the season. Syndergaard getting the start after that a little bit of a debacle in San Francisco last week, or earlier this week, I should say. It was the 5-4 Phillies loss. Unfortunately, he only went 4 1/3, 4 runs, 3 of them earned, and 7 hits over the 4 1/3 against San Francisco Giants, taking the L in that one. That's where we're at for the weekend. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Hope you guys have just a delightful weekend. I'll be back with you guys on Monday, hopefully talking about a series sweep over the Nationals and the Philadelphia Eagles being 1-0 on the season. I'm Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show, presented by the great people at Steven Singer Jewelers. Jim Hyden produced the program, did a wonderful job. This is a Buzz Sports Entertainment production. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take it easy.